Welcome to the Live It Right podcast, hosted by John and Caitlin Lindsay. We're going to be talking all things health and wellness, from food, fitness, relationships. So if you want to live your best life and live it right, join us for this conversation.
So whether you're a health enthusiast, a busy professional, or someone looking to achieve a more fulfilling life, you're in the right place. Tune in, subscribe, and join our community as we explore the path to living it right.
Let's go. Welcome back to the Live It Right podcast. This is episode 12. We're wrapping up our trip. We're talking about Lake Iseo.
My favorite place on earth.
Yes, and there's a bit of a delay. We had a hurricane here in Savannah, all over the southeast, so we didn't have power for like 5 days. So we're kind of getting to this a little late, but this place was so cool. I feel like we had to get this podcast in at some point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sad we didn't do it right when it was fresh on our minds, but to be honest with you, I think I remember the majority of it because I just dream about going back already.
Yeah, it really was. So we went from Garda to Iseo, and Iseo is in between Lake Como and Lake Garda. If you look at a map, it's really like smack in the middle. Another, just like all those Italian lakes, just traditional, striking scenery everywhere. Lower key than Garda and Como, smaller, and also lower key, just like, you know, the towns aren't nearly as big, little tougher to get to. From Garda, we actually we took a taxi from our Airbnb to the train station, a train to Brescia, bus from Brescia to the town of Iseo.
Hightailed it through a market.
Ran, I guess, a little
Literally.
bit. Then a train. Then a ferry on the lake, and then our Airbnb's host, his mom picked us up and drove us the last like 10, 15 minutes. But
so logistically, it's not as easy to get to.
Well, that sounds overwhelming, but that was only like 4 hours of total time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only hold up is like the ferries are not as frequent.
Yeah, you really got to time. Well, yeah. You just have to time it well, and you got to know where you're going. And the town we were staying in, that was the big deal. The town we stayed in only had 2 ferry pickups and drop-offs a day.
But regardless,
so
that's a green light for us because that means it's not as busy.
Super low key. Yeah. And honestly, in general, we didn't go to a ton of towns, but the towns we did go to, very low key everywhere. And we spoke about this in previous episodes about our trip. Like we went to Europe at a nice time because it was that post-European holiday summer break. Mm-hmm. And so this was even more so than the other 3 places we were at. It was super evident. The low-keyness was just crazy low-key.
Well, the strange thing to me is like it's right smack dab between 2 primary lakes. But it's not that small. Like, it's not like, it's surprising to me that like I'm literally 99.9% of the people that I told where we were going, they're like, what's that? Where's that?
Yeah. The perimeter is 40 miles.
Yeah.
So it's because we biked it. That's so we know. But it was, I mean, you can't see from one end to the other you can see across it pretty easily, but you can't see from one end to the other like it is. If that was in the United States, it would be it'd be the crown jewel of lakes in the United States. Yeah. So,
but I mean, I guess to really kick things off before we go into detail is to just give you a snapshot of how much we liked it. It's the first time I've ever left a place and actually shed tears.
Yeah.
I mean, it was...
I didn't cry, incredible. But it was still like...
You felt it in your... I know you felt it. It was really a truly unique, incredible place that, I mean, I guess we can start off. You gave the journey to get there. But as soon as we showed up, of course, I got about 3-4 flights of stairs to carry everything up. But we walked up, you go through that front door, the view, I have no words for. Like it was...
majestic, I guess would be.
Yeah, I mean, I took videos of it, but like in my mind, it's just like none of this does it justice.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the most incredible. It was panoramic. The the Airbnb, the host was great. It had everything we needed. It had a kitchen, so I cooked. We were there for a bit, so I
Did some
cooked.
lunches, some breakfast, yeah. And
Ate out every night, of course, but
yes, definitely.
it just, yeah, it was unreal.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the scenery, we stayed on the closer to the north side, and this was true about Garda too. The further north you were, the more just striking the scenery. The mountains got a little less striking as you went south, but I mean, all these Italian lakes, they have the roads are right on the lake. So when you do a bike ride, you do a drive, you do anything, like you're just getting constant, incredible, amazing scenery. Like it really is cool. And then I mean, the town we stayed in, Riva de Solta, just super cute and quaint, and right on had a lot of medieval history. So it's been there a long, long time. Has some ties to the Roman Empire too. Like just been there forever, and it's right on the bank of this beautiful lake. Probably there's probably 4 or 5 restaurants in town. We ate at 3 for dinner. 2 of them we went back to twice because they were just so dang good. Like even just going into the market there was such a nice trip because it was like, I think anywhere we've been in the past, there is like a little bit of touristy side to
None here.
every little market visit, like really everything. And here it wasn't. Like it felt like such a cultural experience to stay in the town we stayed in and then just experience like Iseo. I mean, biking all over the place, like just stopping for coffee and pastries at little spots
I'll say
along the lake. Like it was different than any vacation spot we've been to for sure.
yeah, and I will tell you, it was the first time. I wouldn't say I was embarrassed, but almost like I wish we had learned more Italian as almost a means of respect towards them, because this was the first place that we really and truly, it was not touristy. It was quiet. It was quaint.
Yeah.
We were lucky people spoke English, because like we
Not
actually
all the time,
we
but
went
yeah,
to a
there
butcher
was,
shop and had to ask for help to communicate with them. It just but it was, I mean, the people were precious. It just has a piece of my heart. But
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
really cool.
he has his journal, and I probably, I don't remember chronologically, but I will say, I mean,
So, well, just to kind of, I mean, just like the other Innsbruck and Garda, did a lot of biking. That took up 3 or 4 days there. We were doing longer bike trips. And I would say my favorite bike ride was probably still the Garda one, where we did the massive climbs and kind of went through the vineyards.
the one to
Just
the cathedral.
because that was so
Yeah.
strenuous, like that
Yeah.
was just such a nice, like, holy crap, that was awesome. I'm glad I did that. But the riding here was awesome. Like, I mean, just incredible scenery, low key, so minimal car traffic, easy to get out into like urban. And I guess would it be urban? No, rural. Sorry,
Rural, yeah.
Rural Italy. And actually, on one of the rides we did, one of the rides we did, we actually went around 2 lakes. We went around Iseo, over a small mountain pass, and then there's another lake. Can't remember the name. It's not nearly.
It was a little underwhelming.
Yeah,
I would say.
it's a small lake, but it was cool to, loop around that, see towns there.
And there were some, again, crazy bikers, man. Like,
Yeah.
like crazy in shape people. They were just like cruising up these climbs.
I think Brescia, which is the biggest.
Yeah.
It's the nearest kind of bigger town, is a hotspot for cyclists. But yeah, they were out in full force. We even saw some
I was about
the
to say that.
cross country skiers practicing on land. So they had like
It looked like
cross country skates, I guess.
it looked like a cross between skis and a
rollerblades.
skateboard.
Yeah, or
And
rollerblades.
Yeah. I mean, it was really cool to see. But I swear, I think there were some people training for some like legit races there.
No doubt. Yeah.
There were quite a few like small pelotons that seemed to be training together.
The Giro d'Italia, which is kind of like Italy's Tour de France, big time race. I think it's like the second or third biggest race in the world. They frequently use roads there for their tour. The But yeah, so the writing was incredible. I think if you haven't figured this out by now, we're definitely big foodies, and the food there, we went to one fancier restaurant. Didn't have a Michelin star, but it was Michelin rated or recognized. And it was such I wouldn't say buzzkill, but it's almost like they're trying too hard. And in Italy, these little hole in the wall places, like the quality of the ingredients, that special touch of like this probably family owned restaurant is just second to none. Like there's no need to go to the fancy places.
So to speak on, we have not been to a ton of Michelin restaurants. We did 2 in Lisbon when we were traveling. But I will say, there is something to be said about true, authentic Italian food. And just like he said, I'm not saying everywhere, but I do feel like in a place like Italy, like a Michelin rated restaurant is going to be almost too fancy for what we want, versus like the one in Lisbon was incredible and a completely different cultural experience. But this, like, there is nothing like those hole in the walls that you find. I mean, one of our favorite places to go, it was a restaurant that was literally next to a soccer field.
Yeah.
And you literally sat, they were plastic tables, plastic chairs.
You were sketched out by that place, and you were severely overdressed.
Oh, God. I walked in, I was like, I should have just worn my gym clothes.
Yeah, Just Do Eat.
Just Do Eat. This was actually the restaurant. They gave me their coveted pizza dough recipe. But, it's just, there's something to be said about finding the hole in the wall. There's something to be said about going off the beaten path. And we talked about that with Innsbruck, the hike to that restaurant we went to twice. But here, I will tell you, other than the one place that John mentioned, I mean, I cannot say enough about the food we had.
Yeah, it was spectacular.
Yeah, that's the best word for it. I mean, the Lake Garda truffle pasta is still up there, but like here it was just, I mean, the ladies remembered his name at a restaurant. Remember that? Yeah. She was a sassy thing, but she remembered who you were. But it was just, luckily there were 2 places that served gelato. We were a little worried about that with it being a smaller town, but
very good gelato.
The food was incredible. We did make our way right up the hill. There was a butcher shop that we went into twice. That was actually where John had to get some assistance with English speaking, but that was incredible. I look forward to going back and actually purchasing some of those meats to cook.
Yeah, we just got some Italian, like mortadella, stuff like that.
Sandwich stuff.
Yeah, very good though.
But I was going to say, I mean, the other piece though, I do wish that we had been there a bit longer. Because do you remember the name of the town that was up the hill? We always went down.
I don't know. We biked through it twice, or actually maybe 3 times. Yeah. But yeah, that was.
And like the Airbnb.
That was a bigger town. Like it had a more, I wouldn't call it a supermarket, but it had, the town we were staying in just had 2 little tiny.
And I think that's where a lot of the locals,
like bodega type places.
Yeah. I think that's where like the people that were working in the restaurants down on the water lived.
Yeah, a little more residential. Yeah. But yeah, it looked interesting. I think the coolest thing about the entire lake, and this is what the lake is most known for, is there's an island in the middle of the lake, Monte Isola, and it's the largest inhabited European lake island.
Yes.
And this shows you how uncrowded this place was. We took a ferry over there, and this is like the biggest tourist attraction on this lake. Mm-hmm. And I think when we went in the morning, it wasn't super early. It was probably like 9 a.m. or something. I think, and this ferry probably could have seated 300 people, I would imagine. There was less than 10 people on it.
I will say, there was bad weather on the forecast, and it did rain on and off intermittently. Yeah. So that probably had something to do with it, but still, it's not like,
low key.
Yeah. It's not like when you load the ferry to go to Bellagio on Lake Como.
Oh yeah.
Like
there is no waiting in line. You're going to get on. You're going to get primetime seat. Like it was awesome. And that island is just so unique. Like there's still, I want to say we asked the lady at the tourist center there. I think there are still 12 little hamlets, some bigger than others. We probably I bet we walked through at least 8 of them. Mm-hmm. These just precious little towns that have been there since probably like the 1200s or something. So unique. The island rises right up out of the lake, so you can walk to the top. That's what we did first. There's an old church up there, epic views.
Pretty strenuous hike.
Super strenuous, yeah.
I mean, we looked at the data of it, but I wasn't expecting. I mean, that was not easy.
It was probably a 3-mile hike from where we got off the ferry, and it was 1,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's legit hiking.
But it was cool. There was they had a little man up at the top that served coffee and drinks and stuff like that. But the view, absolutely incredible. Again, what was the circumference of that island?
I think it's 9 kilometers, so a little more than 5 miles, I think.
But like, even if you didn't want to hike up, like even just walking the circumference of it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, it was covered in olive groves and
couple vineyards.
Yeah. It was amazing. But like, I remember we stopped. It was on the way down. Do you remember the name of that town?
Oh.
But we stopped and got a bottle of wine and a sandwich.
Talk about it and I'll remember, yeah.
We got, stopped, got a bottle of wine and
Waiters lived there his whole life. Younger guy, probably close in age to us.
But it's just funny, like all the people working there were just like hanging out, drinking together.
Not a care in the world.
No.
Like it really was like looked like an awesome lifestyle. Like
I was like, I could go live. I mean, next time when we go back, we're definitely going to stay on the island for the night.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
But that was amazing.
So the sandwich we had, the island, their biggest thing they produce is, I guess maybe 1 is olive oil, but 2 is a certain type of.
It wasn't speck.
No, it wasn't speck. It was what's the bacon?
Not pancetta.
Pancetta. Yeah,
it was pancetta.
We had a pancetta sandwich.
Oh, sorry,
and
it was pancetta.
It was local from the island, so it's pancetta and salami they're known for, plus olive oil. And that just shows you this island's huge. Like it's, well, not huge, but it's got enough space to have olive groves, have boar or hogs running around to produce these meats too.
But it was amazing. It was just, we did get a couple downpours there. So we stopped and played cards and drank some wine to break things up.
Cure. Cure.
That's right.
That's the name of the town.
Cure. I was about to say, it's an easy word. How can I not remember this?
And the bottle of wine we had there, like, I think it was a sparkling bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a Prosecco.
Yeah, it was €8. And it was the most, just the coolness or epicness of the bottle. You'd be like, oh, this looks like it. This must be like hundreds of dollars.
And we're like, €8.
€8, yeah. And it was delicious. It was. And then, I mean, this just shows you how like low key and small town this was. As we were leaving, like a guy, I don't even know who this guy was, but he showed up. He knew the owners or the dudes working at the bar, and he had brought a bottle of rosé he wanted them to try. And our waiter was like, oh, give him one too. And he gave me one, and he goes, oh, his wife's outside too. Give him one too. And it's just the friendliness and just really exuberance for life was just so palpable there. Like it was awesome.
But also the appreciation for the simple life. The simplicity of things. Like was just, I know everyone says they go to Europe and like your perspective changed, but like truly going here to this lake really kind of changed my perception of things and just really kind of took me back of like, I mean, these people are so passionate about like the little they have. And like, it's also breaks your heart too, because you hear of stories like they were talking about, with me and the food piece of it is how horrible the last season of olive oil was. Like the weather was bad, the production, they just weren't able to produce as much. So, you know, we bought a couple bottles of the olive oil, but that was like coveted oil because it was a little bit of
Yeah.
like the very small batch they were able to get, and it's just like this is their livelihood. But it's just it's their, and the thing is like contrary to some places that you almost feel like they don't appreciate the tourism. Some of the larger cities, I would say, you know, very highly tourist attractions like in the country. These people like welcomed us with open arms everywhere we went.
Oh yeah, very friendly. It was
I mean,
just
the precious little elderly people would sit on their porches and wave at us every time we'd walk up and down and up and down the hill. But it was incredible. I mean, that day on Monte Isola was pretty awesome.
yeah, that was my favorite thing there. It was just such a unique experience.
Yeah, and then we took the ferry back, which we were the only people
I think
on the ferry.
on the return, we were the only people.
But before that, we were waiting on the ferry and we stopped in a little bar. I just wish
yeah,
I
just
wish I would have known what they were
like-
saying. I'm sure they were talking about us.
It's a great place to just be a fly on the wall. Like
Yeah.
just go and see what other people are doing. Just walk around, see what other people are doing. Like it was, and I think for me, and you probably feel the same way now. Like a place like that is exactly what we're looking for. Like lots of outdoor pursuits, things to do, incredible food, affordable. And just in general, you can just feel positive vibes. Like I'm maybe more so than you, but I'm always kind of in a rush to do things and stuff. But I never like to be in areas that are like that.
Yeah, he has. We both struggle with patience, but like he really like vacation. I get more messages about this. They're like, "Do y'all sit down?" And I'm like, "Well, to eat or to drink, but other than that."
Gotta take
No.
it all in.
I mean, honestly, we've had to learn to actually sit and drink the espresso because it's kind of rude to take coffee on the go.
Drink and run, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. And it's funny because like a lot of people they look for, and I even looked at doing experiences. But I think I found creating our own experiences is the way that I like doing it best. And I loved, for someone who's type A and always wants to have a plan in life, it was nice to just let things fall into place. Because I think some of our coolest and fondest memories of this trip were the ones that were unexpected or unplanned.
Yeah.
And by the way, the unexpected and unplanned stop at the gelato when we were, again, waiting on the ferry. Best gelato we had the entire trip.
Which one was that?
The one, they was served in a chilled glass. The pistachio.
Yeah.
It was
that was
the
on the
best.
island. Yeah, super good.
That was the best gelato we had.
Yeah.
And trust me, we had plenty.
Yes.
Every day for 3 weeks. I don't think we missed a day. Did we miss a day?
Yeah.
So.
But
anyways.
yeah, it's, if you're, as we just described it, if you're into places like that, like it may have sounded technical to get to, but I think it's only a 90-minute train ride from Milan.
Yeah.
And we stayed in a more remote town, which I highly recommend, Riva de Salta.
100%.
But you could easily stay in a less remote town and navigate a touch easier. But if you don't mind walking and...
Yeah. I mean, not to cut you off, but just like we talked about in Garda, like when we rode the circumference of Garda, like Garda on Lake Garda was pretty busy. Mm-hmm. So Iseo, like there were larger towns on the lake that were busier.
Nothing like Garda.
Nothing like Garda.
It was lower key,
But like, if you saw if you were to see the videos and stories we shared, it almost looked like we had Riva de Salto to ourselves in a way. I mean, it was very quiet. And just like I loved that, just like on Lake Garda, we went down the hill because there's got to be a hike involved. And there was, they don't have this, I mean, they did, it was a beach, but they had like these wooden platforms.
The rocks were a little more rugged in Garda.
But it was just, we had this diving rock.
Ugh. Yeah, the water was better than Garda too.
The water was
little
incredible.
Cooler, little more, feels fresher, looks fresher. And those lakes, all of them, they just dive right down. Like it's so cool.
Yeah.
Like you can't touch you're 10 feet into the water. You can't even swim to the bottom. So,
yeah. But it was epic. Now, if you remember all of them, do you remember your favorite meal?
My favorite meal, loved at the Just Do Eat place we mentioned by the soccer field. We had a pizza there, mortadella, and mozzarella di bufala. That was the best pizza of the trip for sure.
The strangest, most surprising thing, which I'm cutting you off because it's from Just Do Eat, is they called them potato dippers. Best fries I've ever had in my life. It was the way they cut them. They left the skin on, but they looked almost like, what are those corn chips called? Fritos. They looked like the Frito.
Like Frito dippers. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely I agree with you. That was the best pizza we had. And then the restaurant we went to twice.
I liked the first night we were there. I had these little lamb chops, which I wouldn't normally gravitate towards that, but they were coated in herbs de Provence.
Yeah.
And they were just, perfect. Like tenderness, everything, just epic.
Yeah, they were pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The pasta we had at that restaurant every time was spot on.
Yeah, they had some unique stuff. They had
what was the God, I'm trying to remember what that first night was.
Pesto gnocchi, black sea wolf ravioli.
That's what it was with the prawn sauce.
Yeah, that was good.
That was just amazing. But I mean, if I wouldn't recommend this place for someone that wants to have 10 wine tours, 6 cooking classes, and have to be in a car the whole time. Like, if you're looking for a true Italian experience, you need to go to Lake Iseo.
The creme brulee too at that place was probably the best.
Have you ever had it? Creme brulee?
Not served like that, at least. Like truly traditional. So
yeah, I came home and got on Amazon and bought a torch. So I haven't made it yet, but I know. I got it. Hey,
could have done that without power too.
True, that is true.
Bummer.
Yeah, bummer. What was your favorite memory from Lake Iseo?
Probably just spending time on that island, Monte Isola. I mean, that was just like something we've never done before. So
yeah, it was incredible. It was probably that, or honestly, like just literally hanging out on that little beach.
Yeah,
just soaking in the atmosphere, the view, all of it. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I'm ready to go back.
Yes.
If you can't tell, we're sitting here like talking like we're in a dream, but
well, if you missed our first podcast, we saved for this trip for over 2 years. Mm-hmm. So, that's what we're doing again. Now we're already thinking about where we're going to go, and I love that because it keeps us motivated to want to save money. And it's, if you missed that podcast, it was probably episode 8 or something like that.
Yeah, but it's funny because when you fall in love with a place so much that we start saying, I'm like, okay, so how much can we not spend so that we have
some in the
money
bank for next
left
time,
in the bank? So we did save a decent amount, which is good.
Kickstart the next one.
So we will, I'll include when I get this up on the website and everything, our Airbnb and all of that, because we would love to share they were sweet, sweet people as well. So I don't have anything else except for it's the most incredible place on earth I've ever been. Yeah. And I'm ready to go back. You have anything else, Dad?
Nope. So we're going to dive back into normal podcasts after this. But as always, like, subscribe, all that stuff totally helps. And if you have any topics you'd like us to discuss, happy to do so.
Drop them our way.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.